right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Paige, and I'm here with Diana and Yeva, and we're so happy you could join us today for a very special session. We have some big announcements, important form updates, and a celebration of a huge milestone. So first things first, we are celebrating 20 years of REeBroker Group. You can see on the slide an image of the way our office celebrated together. We want to thank each of you for being part of our success. This company has thrived because of your dedication, professionalism, and trust. Here's to continued success together. Next, we are also excited to announce an important leadership update. Yeva Washington is now our new broker of record. Yeva has been an integral part of our REeBroker Group for years, and we're very happy to support her in her new role with the company. Anthony Rajas is still our CEO and licensed officer with the DRE, so he'll continue to oversee the business and growth of our REeBroker Group that helps our agents remain successful. You'll notice that most association memberships will transition under Yeva's name at renewal time next year, so no action is necessary from you at this time. Yeva, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much, Paige. Thank you, everyone. I've been with the company for 11 years now, and after all these years, Anthony, my dad, has promoted me to broker of record. I'm incredibly proud to share that we've maintained a fantastic record with the DRE. We always cooperate fully during audits and address any inquiries immediately. Anthony could have stayed broker of record, but he decided to pass the torch to me and focus on improving our tools and website, so I'm really thankful. It's a true reflection of the integrity of our agents who consistently follow guidelines and uphold the professional ethics expected in our industry. Thank you all for your hard work and commitment. I'm excited to see us continue to grow together. Thank you again.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Diana, and I am the person in charge of the mentorship program. For all of you that do not know about our mentorship program, this is a great resource that our broker offers to our agents. Our new agents who have not done any transactions, and also for our seasoned agents who perhaps have left the business and are now coming back to a whole new world of real estate, with the new NAR settlement guidelines. This is a great resource for all of you. When you sign up for the mentorship program, we do offer one-on-one assistance where we work with you in reviewing all your offers, counter offers, listing agreements. We review all your paperwork to make sure that you are in compliance and that you are completing your forms correctly. We are definitely hearing some great reviews from the agents who have participated in our program. A lot of them feel like this is a great resource that they have because it gives them an extra set of eyes to watch over their documents, and a lot of them feel a lot more confident, taking on transactions and moving forward with completing their transactions because they know they are being guided by someone from beginning to end. And they're very grateful for that because this allows them to do business that otherwise they would probably have to refer out. In this case, they get to do the transaction themselves with the help of somebody in the background. As part of the mentorship program, we also make sure that we keep you up to date with all the CAR changes, especially with the new changes, after the NAR settlement. We make sure that you know exactly how the new compensation is compensated to our agents now, because a lot of that commission compensation has changed. So we make sure that you know exactly what to do, what forms to complete to be in compliance with the new rulings. Today, as part of the webinar, we will be discussing the new changes and updates to the residential purchase agreement, the residential listing agreement, and the new generic addendum that has come out. We will explain the difference between when to use the new generic addendum versus just a regular addendum. So today we will be discussing all those forms.
Thank you, Diana. I love how much agents love working with you. Let's quickly go over a few important updates, especially starting with the residential listing agreement. One thing to keep in mind, as agents, we are not allowed to do any repair work on a property and then charge the seller. That's not permitted. Also, just as a reminder, our REeBroker Group agents cannot offer or advertise any contractor services, home repairs, renovations, or fix-up work as part of a listing or sale. Doing so while you're acting under your license can create serious liability for both you and the brokerage. If a seller needs repair or improvements done, that's absolutely fine. They need to handle it on their own. They'll need to hire the contractor directly, sign a separate agreement outside on the brokerage, and take care of payments and invoices directly with the contractor. Our REeBroker Group shouldn't be involved in any way. There are companies that do this sometimes through escrow. The sellers just need to research it and they can even do that, but it just has to be outside of the brokerage. So CAR created a new addendum generic. Let's clear up some common confusion. CAR does have a quick guide that you can look into about this, but a quick summary. If you're in an open escrow between a buyer and seller or a tenant and housing provider, you should use the regular addendum form. This form is set up for those type of transactions, so just keep using it as normal. If you're creating an agreement that's not between a buyer and seller, like something between a broker and client, or even between two agents, that's when you use the generic addendum. This one uses generic labels like Principal 1 and Principal 2, so it's a little bit more flexible for outside of the standard transaction. Now let's talk about the residential purchase agreement. One important update, you no longer need to include the BRBC when you submit your offer. That said, having a signed buyer's representation agreement is still California law. It started in 2025, so you really have to have it. Also, moving forward with CAR's updated guidance, buyer's agents should not be offering commission credits. That's no longer encouraged. Instead, any credit should come from the seller and it should be written directly into the purchase agreement. At our REeBroker Group, we're aligning with that recommendation. We'll be discouraging agents from offering commission credits. Instead, calculate the value of your work and set your commission accordingly. Your time and expertise deserve to be compensated. No need to discount yourself.
Thank you so much, team. Now we have a guest speaker, Sean Harris. And Sean is going to go over the AB 38 and how it impacts your transactions. So take it away, Sean.
Great. So obviously one of our goals is you guys to use us for your natural hazard disclosure reports. So I kind of wanted to give a brief explanation, a little bit about the company, and then Larry will jump in on the legal stuff, and then there'll be pages of our report that are kind of relevant to what we're talking about that I'm going to point out. But obviously I'm not going to go through all 38, 40 pages of our report. So Snap NHD is owned by the Intercontinental Exchange Company. We are a Fortune 500 company with over a $85 billion net worth. As a side note, the Intercontinental Exchange Company also owns the New York Stock Exchange. So obviously that's something you want in an NHD company. You want it to be secure. And we're definitely probably the leader in the market. You could probably combine our competitors all in one and they wouldn't come up to our numbers. All of our reports are backed and insured by $120 million of E&O. We cover all parties in the transaction, and that includes you transaction coordinators that are licensed and escrow officers if you're in an area where your escrow is placing those NHD orders for you. As you guys know, a real estate lawsuit is basically like a vacuum. Everybody's going to get sucked in. So that's why we do indemnify everybody on the transaction. Ordering, pretty simple. Go to our website, www.snapnhd.com. You can email me the order. All I really need is your name and the property address. Obviously, I'll have your email, and I'll order our reports on average, unless there's an issue we have to do a manual examination, go out in about 2 minutes. The most important thing is we encourage you guys to order them when you take the listing. I know some of you might be up north and that's kind of common. I'm down here in San Diego. It's not common. that, as we know or may not know, that is all required on the listing agreement now, that the NHD be ordered in a 3-day window. So we never charge if we get countered out. If you don't sell the property for any reason, if you need an NHD, just reach out to us and we'll never bother you about it not closing or not being paid. With that, I will move on to Larry. Larry.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon. Okay. So AB 38 at a glance. I'm going to start out really quickly with a tiny history lesson. AB 38 really stems from initially, back in 1964, there was a public resource code called 4291, PRC 4291. And that public resource code states that any home in a high or very high fire hazard zone has to maintain defensible space. It did not say anything about needing inspection, didn't say anything at all about inspection for close of escrow, nothing of that nature. So the problem is that 50 years have passed and nobody knew about that public resource code to maintain that defensible space around the structures in those areas. So AB 38 came out. And what AB 38 in essence says is that if a home is in a high or very high fire hazard zone, you have to disclose to the buyer that they have to maintain defensible space. It's there to disclose if the home meets fire hardening requirements and defensible space requirements. The subcategory of AB 38 is if there is a local vegetation management ordinance, and everybody hears that word, or if there is a municipal code that states that you have to have the inspection for close of escrow, then you're supposed to follow that local law. But if it doesn't, then it's up to the seller, and I'll go into this in another slide real fast. It's up to the seller to fill out that form and decide how and if and when an inspection be required. There you go.
So I'll take this over.
Yep,
one of the things I'm always asked is, how do we know that the report is going to require this to be done? This is literally page 2 or 3 of our report. Very easy to see. Property is in a high or very high fire zone.
And you'll only see that flyer. You'll see it in every report. If the FHDS notice is required in the transaction, you'll see a red is. If it is not required in the transaction, i.e. it's not in a high or very high fire hazard zone, you'll see a green is not. So that's a good notion to share with your clients. When it comes to the decision tree, the fire hardening form, and what CAR says. So the decision tree, which they added about 2 years ago, is just to be used as a guide. It's not required in a transaction. Just the FHDS is what's required in a transaction. The FHDS is to be filled out by the seller with the guidance from the agent. So I talk to 4 or 5 agents every day for the past 4 or 5 years, and they're like, well, I'm just going to check off this. And I say, no. It's actually the responsibility of the seller to fill it out with your guidance. Only CAL FIRE adopted approved maps is what dictates the FHDS. So what you see on the statutory page on the natural hazard report is the CAL FIRE maps. If the local jurisdictions, so say San Diego City has a property in a high or very high, but the CAL FIRE map does not, the FHDS would not be required in that transaction. And I always advise go to your broker. They may want that as well, or at least use the WFDA. For some fun information here, when you see local responsibility area, that doesn't mean that they are responsible for fighting the fire. In CAL FIRE's terms in the state of California, that means that they are responsible for paying to fight the fire. So whenever you see local responsibility area, state responsibility area, those are who are the people that are supposed to be paying to fight the fires, not to actually fight the fires. Everybody fights the fires, but somebody's got to pay for it, and that's how they determine who pays for it.
Okay, Larry just talked about the FHDS. Another advantage of our report that makes it very easy, questioning whether you need to fill that out, we will provide automatically that CAR FHDS form in our report if it's required. So if you open up a report and a few pages deep, you will see the FHDS, then you know it does need to be completed. So another thing just makes our report simple.
So when it comes to law applicability for FHDS, for fire hardening, you have 4 requirements. For the defensive space, you have 3 requirements. They shared the same 3 requirements of 1 to 4 dwelling unit, TDS being required, and then a high or very high fire hazard severity zone. For the fire hardening portion, any home built before January 1st, 2010 is supposed the section 2 is supposed to be filled out. If it is built after January 1st, 2010, section 2 does not have to be filled out. And the reason why that is all those measures in place for fire hardening were put into the building codes in 2010. And effective 2012. So that's why they say 2010 is the cutoff for filling out section 2. And in section 2, along with the new, I don't think we have put that in there yet, but you have the 6 questions that you see there under letter B, and the additional 12 questions that were added in at the end of June, beginning of July. All those questions are to be treated like the TDS. So if the homeowner is aware that these are vulnerabilities, or aware that retrofits have been done to the home that matches those categories, then they say yes. If they're not aware or they don't know, they say no. So I'll give you a really quick, for instance. Say they have in their bathroom a single pane window in their bathroom, but the rest of the house is all double pane windows. They would have to check yes, because they know that single pane window is in their bathroom. If they don't know what kind of pane windows they have in their bathrooms or wherever else, they would just say no. So that's a question I get all the time. And this is section 3A and B. So for 3A, it is, we have actually done a lot of the majority of work for you when it comes to if there's a local ordinance or not. So I always say when you order our report, go to page 13, 14, 15, roughly, if you look at it online, and we tell you if there is actual local ordinance or not. So for the vast majority of time, you just want to check is. I've actually gone through all 483 incorporated cities and 58 counties in the state and read all their municipal codes, so I can tell you for a fact if it is or is not a local ordinance in our report. Just look and they'll give you a heads up. For section B, that is only to be filled out if you've had an inspection, because then you would know if the property is in compliance or not. If you have not had an inspection, CAR has said just default number 1, which is seller's unaware and does not have a report prepared by a provider.
And as Larry mentioned, our report does specify whether the property is in that vegetation ordinance zone, which is that question that Larry talked about. It's in our report. As Larry mentioned, what page, Larry? 14 on the PDF?
Between 13, 14, 15, depending on what type of report you purchase. Yeah.
And then actually listed at the bottom of the page, it's actually page 8. But you can see at the bottom of this page, we actually will list the ordinance if the property does have a vegetation ordinance.
And we also tell you if that ordinance says that the inspection is required for close of escrow or not. It'll say required for close of escrow, either no or yes. And right now there's only 4 cities in 1 county where that inspection is required. Good. All right, so for section C, the first half here, we'll go with the first 3 questions. B, you would never default to, letter C, you would never default to number 1, because 9 3/4 times out of 10 there is a ordinance in place. Number 2 is basically if an ordinance that would say the inspection, there is a local ordinance, the inspection is required, but it gives the option for the buyer or seller to bring the property in compliance. And the seller is saying, buyer, you do it. That law does not exist in the state yet, so you wouldn't really fill out number 2. And then number 3 is there is a local ordinance in place, but it does not state you have to have an inspection. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller is having the buyer do it sometime within a year after the close of escrow. And then number 4, that is the one that does exist in those 4 cities in one county I talked about. The municipal code states that the seller is to have there's a local ordinance in place, and the seller is to have the inspection completed, bring the property into compliance, and provide that documentation to the buyer before the close of escrow. So that is the one in those 4 cities in one county. Number 5 is if you've had an inspection prior to going into escrow, within 6 months of prior going into escrow, and the property is in compliance, you would provide that documentation to the buyer. So that one's pretty easy. And then number 6 is the one that everybody checks off. Like I said, I talked to 4 or 5 agents a day for 4 or 5 years now, and that's one they always say is the seller saying, oh no, sorry, that's one that they don't have the sellers do, because it's basically the seller voluntarily to have the inspection completed and then bring the property in compliance and provide that documentation. I would say 95% of the time the sellers are going with option 3, having the buyer do it, and maybe 5% of the time the sellers are voluntarily having it done. So.
And I threw this slide in because I think it's important. You may not be aware that the local responsibility maps, otherwise most cities, were changed on March 24th. There's a few companies out there that do not show maps. So not only is it important to show where the property is, but it's also important to show the proximity of a zone, because we are getting people literally every day that were on the edge of a fire zone, and because of this map change are now in a very high fire zone. So that's important. You don't want a client coming back to you and saying, hey, the information you provided did not show us that we are, 100 yards, 1 street away, 3 houses away from either a fire or a flood zone. So the maps are important, and obviously we include the maps in our report.
Okay, we're almost done here. So what if the parcel is in a condominium? Well, per car, they say fill out section 2 and then 3A and then sign. As a homeowner of an HOA, of a condo, that's usually an HOA 9. I don't think I've ever seen a condo without a homeowner association. Anyways, so the seller does not have access to the landscape to create that barrier for defensible space, and the buyer won't have access either to create that barrier for defensible space. So it is up to the HOA to create that barrier. So per car, you just fill out section 2 for the fire hardening, and then section 3A saying there is a local ordinance, and leave it be. What if it is a vacant land? Well, there's no 1 to 4 dwelling unit on it, so the FHDS would not be required in that transaction. And then what if the parcel is only in a high or very high on the local city county maps, not on the CAL FIRE maps? Per car, FHDS is not required. Refer to the broker for further guidance, or you can use the WFDA, which is the Wildfire Disclosure Advisory. So it's just letting the buyers know that the property is being advised of the property being in a high or very high fire zone.
So Larry, you want to cover this, just our ordering process, and that we do provide this?
Yeah, so this is the wildfire disclosure report. This is a good report to have. What it does is it's not it's totally separate from the FHDS. It's totally separate from all that, but it gives you an analytical look at your property and how it can be affected by ember flow, by the winds from the fire itself, by the trees that are around the home. It shows you what the different footages for each zone 0, 1, or 2, and then what needs to be fixed in those areas. It tells you what trees are convection trees, like how hot they burn, how fast they burn. It gives you all this analytical. You can keep scrolling, Sean, because it's kind of all in the same conversation. It gives you the hazard ratings. It uses not just CAL FIRE maps, but it uses CAL FIRE maps. It uses the California Utility Commission's maps, Public Utilities Commission maps, and also the USDA's maps. Like I said, it shows you vulnerability analysis, tells you where your property is on a scale of being protected or not, has a satellite image. Supposedly the satellite image is the past within the past 6 months. This is a third party, so NHG companies are able to sell this product, but this is a separate company that is offering this report. So we can answer some questions and get a hold of that company for if you need copies, anything like that. But we're just here to sell it, and it's going for about I believe it's $140 for that report. But it's a good analytical report as to what needs to be done on the home.
So basically, guys, you've seen it on your contracts. We can facilitate the ordering process on that at the same time you're ordering your NHDs. So I apologize. I know we went about 6 minutes long, but a lot of information to cram in there. That being said, any questions anybody has?
Yes.
I can go for another half an hour to 45 minutes, honestly, because there's just so much questions. Go ahead.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Larry, and thank you, Sean. Yes, there are a few questions. Michelle asked, how much is the NHD report for homes under 350K?
So we have two reports. We have a basic report called our standard report, which is everything that you need to be compliant by the law. That is $79. And then you have the environmental version, which is that same basic report with all the environmental disclosures that I would say, at least in my area, San Diego County, probably 95% of the agents order that, and that is $99.95. So it's the same price as everybody else. We do have an option I did not mention to you guys. If you want to write down Sean, SEAN 50, that is a promo code that gives you 50% off your first report with us. So you can basically order your first report for comes down to like $49.95.
Oh, thank you. And then a second question from Gary is, so any homeowner in Malibu has to fill out one of these forms for defensible space?
Larry?
If they are in a high or very high fire severity zone, they meet those law applicabilities, they would have to fill out the FHDS, yes.
And again, like I mentioned and showed, if it's in our report, then they have to fill it out. If it's not, they do not have to fill it out. But again, it's high or very high fire zone.
Thank you. And then, and I assume Malibu is probably most of California, I feel like it is. But Melissa also asked, what 3 counties currently require the fire stuff to be used? I assume most of them, right? Because California is just high fire zone.
The defensible space inspections?
Yeah.
Yeah. So required by law, our municipal code is the cities of Truckee, Paradise, Moraga, Oneida, and the county of El Dorado, all up north. Those are the only areas that in their municipal codes it states that they have to have the inspection in escrow, bring the property into compliance, and provide that documentation to the buyer. Those are the only areas right now.
Okay, and then thank you. Juanita also asked that she works primarily in Los Angeles, but you guys work all throughout California, correct?
Yes, we handle the entire state.
Okay, yeah. And then one other question is from Corey. Corey, I think the promotion code was Sean50, but your question is he has 2 listings in Big Bear, high fire risk. And then he was under the impression that the local Big Bear Fire Department had to do a AB 38 inspection. They do come to the property to verify defensible space. Does SNAP NHD report replace this need?
No, it doesn't replace need, but for Big Bear, I believe that it's not a point of sale inspection. I believe Big Bear does what Los Angeles County does, is they inspect any home that is in the high or very high fire severity zones. LA County does that as well. They go around and inspect 185,000 homes throughout the year. So I think Big Bear does the same thing, but no, it does not their NHD report does not replace that.
Thank you.
And guys, remember, kind of more of a layman's terms, what Larry said, as far as those are the counties that you have to do a defensible space inspection prior to close of escrow. The other areas you will have on the FHDS, that section 3C, and then if you looked at number 3 in there, it's the buyer responsibility, again, which does give the buyer the responsibility to have that done in the 12-month period. And that's honestly what I see happening the most, at least in San Diego County. And off the record, I don't know if the buyer's doing it, but it's a quick way to kind of get out of that. And that's what's happening.
Can I speak on that for 2 seconds? Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
At all? Okay. So with that inspection, people were saying, well, who's governing this? Who's trying to find out if there's an inspection or not? Where can I get that proof? Well, unfortunately, there's no government entity going around double checking to see if these new homeowners are getting the inspections done. But one thing I have heard a couple times now is that insurance companies want to see that compliance completed and have a copy of that. If there was a fire to come through and damage the home, I have heard some insurance companies saying that they will not cover any damages from that fire if that home is not in compliance with the difficult space measures. So it is important to stress to the buyers that after escrow, make sure they have the inspection, bring property into compliance.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys. I know
Sorry
it's
about that.
it's a fluid topic, and it's really important, especially in California. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
So I did want to mention our TC for You is our preferred transaction coordinating company. We have priority in communicating with them if any issues come up for you or if you have any questions on your transaction. They loop us in. Diana, whenever she does mentorship, recommends the agents using TC for You so they can focus on their clients. And the cost is much lower than a lot of other TCs, so we just really do recommend using them.
Also, don't forget about our free online courses available to all REeBroker Group agents. And that's even for those who are not in mentorship. You can find the link under the training tab on our website. And also, we are expanding the library and would love suggestions for future topics. So feel free to email info or enter into the chat any suggestions that you have. Additionally, I have a quick reminder about recruitment and referrals. If you refer another agent to REeBroker Group, you can earn residual income every time that agent closes a transaction. So on the next slide, you'll see information that you can provide to agents that you're referring. So you can let them know they will keep their commission with no desk fees, no monthly fees, no recurring fees, with full broker support. And be sure to give the agents you refer your unique recruiting link to apply.
Yes, thank you, Paige. Every month we go through and we love sending out those bonus residual income checks to the agents. Okay, another thing that I wanted to mention is CAR released a new referral fee agreement form, and it makes handling referral transactions much more straightforward. Now the agent cannot sign on behalf of the brokerage, but there is a section for you to initial. Please initial the referral fee agreement before sending it to us for signature. We don't want to sign it without your initial. We want to make sure that you agreed to the referral. Then make sure to create the transaction file so once we get the check, we can immediately match it. Otherwise, it sits in a pile of non-deposited checks that we don't know who it belongs to. So make sure to create that transaction. And a quick note for our agents. If you're doing an in-house referral only and you're not representing either party, there are no transaction fees involved for you. You'll get your full referral agreement fee. You can even just use the REeBroker Group inter-office referral agreement found on our document library.
Okay, great. So we have a private Facebook group now, and we would like to invite all our agents to join the group. And this is a place where the office will share all our upcoming webinars, any office updates or car updates and industry changes. And this is also a great way to ask each other questions, share, share your listings, network with each other, and get to know each other a little better. So feel free to join us. And I think we have our Facebook link to join on our chat as well.
Yes,
I just saw meeting you there.
Thank you, Diane. I just saw a few people request to be invited. So after the webinar, we'll go ahead and approve you guys. Thank you. Okay, so before we wrap up, we'll do that open forum questions too, but I wanted to mention a few key tips from our latest newsletter. If your buyer requests that a seller pays their obligation for your commission, don't ask for more than what is stated on the BRBC. It's against the law. Keep all unaccepted offers, buyer representation agreements, and related documents uploaded to your transaction. Compliance is key. And those are like non-accepted buyer's representation agreements or open house forms that you might have. Okay, so we have an open forum. Please put your questions in the chat or like unmute yourself, but I will go over a few questions that were asked earlier. So Juanita asked, am I correct to say that we can't refer contractors/vendors to our clients should they ask for them? Half and half. So of course, if you know a few companies that are really good, you can absolutely recommend those companies. But what the DRE recommends and CAR recommends is offering at least 3 different companies. So what I do, if I like a few companies that I've had good experiences with, I would tell my clients like, look, I've had good experiences with these few companies, but I do recommend you going on Yelp, on Thumbtack, on Google, like review and find a company you want to work with. So don't just make sure not to like be like, this is the company you should use. Really make it very generic. Say you maybe like them. Like for example, with like Snap and HD, you can say to your client like, hey, I saw a few presentations from this company. They seem like they do a good job, but there are a lot of other NHD companies too. Choose the one that might be best for you. And keep that in writing, because then if anything happens, you have it in writing that you did not recommend them, like just that specific company. Then let's see. The buyer's commission bit again, that you guys want an update, to go over it a little bit again. I'll pull up the slide, and it is a it is a big deal because I know especially buyer's agents do offer usually buyer's credits. But now what the DRE and CAR want is they don't want buyer's agents especially to offer any credits to the buyers, because technically if the buyers are paying your commission, you can go ahead and possibly do that. But if the sellers are paying the commission, the commission obligation for the of the buyers to pay your commission, it's technically the seller's money. And then everyone needs to be notified of it. And why CAR and the DRE are a little bit unhappy with it, they want everything to be pretty much disclosed because of the NAR lawsuits. And the MLS is not very it doesn't disclose all the credits usually. It usually says like how much the listing agent or the buyer's agent received, but technically you guys didn't receive all that amount because you provided a credit. So it's just easier. They just want everyone to just negotiate exactly how much you want to get paid and just keep it that way. If for some reason there's like a lot of pushback, or if it's like a home warranty thing, we will require you to have the seller's signature on that credit. So you guys will have to be aware of that. I know that listing agents sometimes don't want to show their sellers that the buyer's agent's providing credits. It's like a whole thing. So I really would very much encourage agents to just negotiate and stick with their commission. But so basically that's what we're just with the CAR guidelines. If anything changes in the future, we'll go with what they're saying again. But right now, that's what is happening. I think there was another question about so Adriana asked, my concern is that is the other agent commission request, seller would like an idea of total commission she will consider paying to other agents. Adriana, could you unmute yourself and clarify your question?
Yeah, so what I'm confused about this is that, like in the past, we will put on our listing agreement, we will get 2%, and we will offer the other agent 2%. But I'm not sure if it's still that way. So then, and we can negotiate commission unless it's in writing. So when the buyer agent give you an offer for your listing, they are determined how much they want to get paid?
Yes. So great question. Yeah, starting last year, the that thing whole thing was split. So now the listing agents no longer ask the sellers how much they would be willing to pay for the other side. As a listing agent, you only ask for your side, and then as a buyer's agent, you only ask for your side. So you split that all up. You don't ask your client anymore for 5%, and then you think, okay, I'm going to pay the other side 2% and I'll keep 3. You only ask for the 3% that you want. Everything else is negotiable, and you also don't put your seller in the position of telling people that they're willing to pay up to 2% to the buyer's agent, because it's the buyer's responsibility to negotiate that. So if for example, if you tell people it's 2%, which you shouldn't be, but then suddenly somebody would have they were gonna do an offer for 1% for the sellers to pay 1% commission, you lost the seller money. So you don't want to be in that position. Don't say what the sellers would be willing to go. Just tell the other agent, submit your best offer, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, so if they ask for 3% and the seller just want to give 2, so we can counter offer, say, hey, we
Yep,
will give you 2%, and if you want the extra 1%, then your buyer has to pay.
absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
that how it's going to be done? Okay, thanks.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. And so I think I saw a few questions. Um, Um, so Michelle, you asked 2 questions. I'm going to answer one of them right now. What if the seller and buyer do not pay all of commission asked for? Can we negotiate the commission? Yes, you can negotiate for something lower, not higher. So you would use the modification of terms, LA for the listing and BR for the um, buyer's representation. Um, then Juanita, when taking a listing, can we ask the seller if they would be willing to pay a buyer's agent commission? You can ask if they would be willing. You can't ask for how much, and then you can just opt. But I would just put in the offer and then see what it goes. And Michelle, to answer your question really quickly before I give the floor to Corey, we do not check. We do check them periodically. You said you uploaded a listing agreement. However, we don't check everything everyone uploads, since sometimes it's just an extension or things we just sometimes don't have enough time, especially if it's busy. However, we will check if you ask us to. So if you send us an email to quickly take a look at your form, or even you submit your transaction for review, you can even state in there is just, hey, I just want a quick check of the current forms. And you can go from there. You will absolutely check it for you then. Corey, please ask your question. Thank you. Oh, and then
Yes,
Gary after Corey. Thank you, Gary.
sure. So they're kind of a statement versus a question. But first is I wanted to just let everyone know that our office did change address.
Thank
And
you.
in zip forms, on the bottom of all your forms, it prints your name, your brokerage name, and your brokerage address. So in zip forms, you have to go in there, and I forget how I did it. I'll confess, I actually YouTube video that explained how to do it. I changed our address to the 950 Boardwalk, Suite 203. So on the bottom of every form that I use, it prints our current address. I had noticed I was doing some forms and the old address was on there, and I was like, oh, how do I fix it? So just
Thank
making
you,
people
Corey.
aware that in zip forms, we should update to the new address because it prints on every form that we do.
Yes, I very much appreciate it. Yeah, if anyone has a question how to do that, please send us an email to, or like Corey, watch a video. It's you just log into your zip form transactions, click on your profile, and you can update the address there. So thank you, Corey. And hopefully with the updates eventually, because we updated our address with all the associations, they'll update the address manually at some point as well. And did you have a second statement?
And then number two, I wanted to make the agents in the meeting aware that I had joined for us the Mountain Resort Communities MLS Association. So that is in the Big Bear Association merged with the Rim of the World Association. So the entire Bear Valley and everywhere in the mountain is now one MLS, an association of realtors that we are a member of. And there's a lot of opportunity up in Big Bear. There's almost 1,000 listings right now. It's more than double than there was 2 years ago. Um, it's easier to get a seller than a buyer right now.
Thank you.
There's a lot more sellers and buyers, but there's a lot of opportunity in that area, and just wanted to let you guys know if anyone would be interested in joining me in that association, it's available for us now.
Yes, thank you very much, Corey. Yeah, so what Corey did is usually we don't join an association unless we have three or more agents in it. But we do offer the agent that if they pay for the broker's dues, we'll join it. And then hopefully once there's more agents, they can either split it if there's only two agents, or once it hits more than three agents, or the agent is like really productive, we'll pay for our broker dues the following year. So definitely, yeah, Heather, you're interested in Big Bear, absolutely chat with Corey later. I do see that association is very much involved and they send out a lot of things. So it's really great. Gary, what's your question? If you're still there. Oh, perfect. Oh, Gary, I can't hear you. Let's see. While Gary's coming back, I'll answer some more questions that people wrote down. So Heather said, or asked, what is the best practice agents are using regarding advising a seller on the possibility of buyers requesting commission paid to their agent? Diana, did you want to take this?
Sure. So basically, whenever you sit down with your seller to take your listing, it's just, suggest just having the conversation with your seller that even though there's these new NAR guidelines where the seller is no longer required to, where the listing agent has to pretty much secure their own commission, and the buyer will have to pay have a separate representation agreement with their own agent. But a lot of it, I mean, you just have a casual conversation with them and just let them know that even though that is the case, where you no longer negotiate the list in the listing agreement, the other side's compensation, that most likely the buyer will ask the seller as part of a closing cost to help them pay for their compensation to pay the commission to their agent. So most likely that will come through with the purchase agreement. So I would just give them a heads up. So you can say you're either, depending on the offer that you receive, you can either counter it or accept it or absolutely not pay for it. They have those options now because, as you know, commissions are 1,000% negotiable now. So that's how most agents are handling that.
Thank you, Diana. And then, yes, so Melissa and Corey, thank you for bringing this up. Our loan division is closing. We just wanted to focus mostly on the real estate side. The loan, we did see that there is a lot of benefit to it. It's just that we wanted to provide more tools for the real estate side versus splitting our attention. So that will be closing. But if you are a broker, if you have a broker's license, you can do real estate with us and loans with another brokerage. That is absolutely allowed, and we would encourage that. I know Anthony actually, previously as a broker of record, put a lot of time into it, where he got his loan license so he could open it. It's just we just noticed that our attention was really split. So thank you. And then, Gary's question was answered. Thank you, Gary. Okay. And then, yeah, yeah. So I know, and now that I'm broker of record, I don't think I'm going to get my loan license. So I don't think we'll be able to have the division. But if something changes in the future, we'll have to reconsider. But Melissa, you were asking, please mention the license must be DFPI, not DRE, if they want to stay with our REeBroker. Thank you very much. Okay. And then if you guys have any other questions, please join our Facebook group. We're going to hopefully try to be a lot more active there. I've been going on there every day, of course. And then we're going to have these conversations more often as well. And then I just wanted to really thank you all for being with us. We've been proud of the community we built together over the last 20 years. It's all thank you to our agents. We've had over 2,000 agents all throughout the years. Right now, we have about 1,800 still. A lot of agents stay with us. They leave and then they come back. And a lot of new agents are joining us. We're going to be getting our name out there on being more active with associations and with our agents like in these webinars and Facebook. So we're just really excited. 20 years is a big deal. And we're really, really excited for the future. And hopefully real estate will pick up. And like we see, it is slowly picking up. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And this recording will be posted on YouTube.